Commander Daniel Hayes stood on the balcony of the towering Crystal Palace and looked out across the alien capital. The city of Avaris stretched for miles beneath a glowing violet sky. Elegant towers curved upward like living sculptures, and streams of floating vehicles glided through the air between them. It was beautiful, strange, and after 6 months here, Daniel still couldn't believe he had been the human chosen for this mission. He took a deep breath and checked the time on his wrist device. His shuttle to the Terran diplomatic fleet would depart in 2 hours. 2 hours. Then he would finally be heading home. Back to Earth. Back to blue oceans, crowded cities, and the familiar chaos of human life. Behind him, the palace doors slid open. A tall alien guard stepped out. "Commander Hayes, the Queen requests your presence." Daniel smiled slightly. "One last meeting, huh?" The guard nodded. "The Queen wishes to speak with you before your departure." Daniel glanced once more at the alien skyline. Then he followed the guard inside. Humanity's first true ally. 6 months earlier, Daniel Hayes had arrived on Avaris as part of humanity's most important diplomatic mission. The Varelian Empire was one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Their technology surpassed humanity's by centuries. Their military controlled dozens of star systems. And their ruler, Queen Lyrasha, was known as both brilliant and unpredictable. Earth needed allies. The galaxy was vast, and humanity was still small. Daniel's mission had been simple on paper. Build trust with the Varelians. Show them humans could be valuable partners. And prove humanity deserved a place among the stars. But no one had expected the mission to become so personal. 3. The Throne Room. The throne chamber of Avaris was breathtaking. Tall pillars of luminous crystal rose to a ceiling that shimmered like a living starfield. At the center of the chamber stood the throne, and seated upon it was Queen Lyrasha. She was taller than most Varelians, her silver-blue skin glowing softly beneath the palace lights. Long strands of white hair flowed over elegant armor that looked both ceremonial and practical. Her violet eyes turned toward Daniel as he approached. "Commander Hayes," she said calmly. Daniel bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty." She studied him for a moment. "You are leaving today." "Yes, Your Majesty. My mission is complete." A faint smile touched her lips. "Yes, that is." But something about her tone made Daniel pause. 4. A mission fulfilled. Queen Lyrasha gestured for him to step closer. "You have done something remarkable here, Commander." Daniel shrugged modestly. "I just followed the mission objectives." "Your objectives have reshaped our understanding of humanity." Over the past 6 months, Daniel had helped negotiate trade agreements, shared human engineering innovations, and even assisted Varelian scientists with adapting Terran agricultural methods to alien soil. But what truly surprised the Varelians wasn't human technology. It was human behavior. Daniel had treated them like equals. He laughed with their citizens, ate their strange foods, even trained with their soldiers. And somewhere along the way, something unexpected had happened. The Varelians had begun to like humans, especially the Queen. 5. Something unsaid. Queen Lyrasha leaned slightly forward on her throne. "You are eager to return to Earth." Daniel nodded. "I haven't seen my home in months." "That is understandable." She stood slowly from her throne and descended the steps toward him. But instead of stopping at the usual formal distance, she walked closer, much closer. Her presence carried an unusual warmth. "Commander Hayes," she said quietly, "do you believe alliances are built only through treaties?" Daniel considered the question. "Not really." "How then?" "Trust," he said. She nodded thoughtfully. "Yes." Then she asked something unexpected. And do you believe trust can exist between individuals, not just nations? Daniel hesitated. I think it can. The Queen's eyes seemed to shine brighter. Good. 6. The announcement. Queen Lyrasha turned toward the gathered court officials. Summon the High Council. Within minutes, the throne chamber filled with nobles, military commanders, and advisors. Daniel frowned slightly. What's going on? You will see, the Queen replied. Once the council assembled, she spoke loudly. Today we honor the completion of Commander Daniel Hayes' mission. The council members nodded respectfully. He has proven humanity's worth as allies to the Varelian Empire. Daniel felt a small wave of pride. That had been his goal from the beginning. But then the Queen said something that made the entire room fall silent. However, she turned back toward him. I will not allow him to leave. 7. Confusion. Daniel blinked. Wait, what? The council members exchanged shocked glances. One advisor stepped forward nervously. Your Majesty, the human commander's return was agreed upon with Earth. Yes, she replied calmly. But circumstances have changed. Daniel raised his hands. Your Majesty, I appreciate everything that's happened here, but I really do have a shuttle waiting. The Queen looked directly at him. I know. Then why? Because, she interrupted softly, your mission is not over. 8. A different kind of mission. Daniel crossed his arms. With respect, Your Majesty, my orders came from Earth, and my decision comes from the throne of Avarice. The tension in the room thickened, but the Queen's expression remained calm. She stepped closer to him again. You have built something extraordinary between our worlds. Daniel sighed. That was the plan. But alliances require more than plans. She paused. They require commitment. Daniel felt a strange feeling forming in his chest. Your Majesty, what exactly are you saying? Her voice softened. I am saying that you cannot leave because your presence here is now essential. To what? She looked directly into his eyes. To the future of both our civilizations. 9. The real reason. The council members waited silently. Daniel took a slow breath. Okay, I'm going to need a clearer explanation. The Queen gave a faint smile. That is fair. She turned to the council. Leave us. The chamber emptied within minutes. Soon only Daniel and the Queen remained. She walked toward the massive window overlooking the city. You see the empire before you, she said quietly. Yes. It is powerful. No doubt about that. But power alone cannot guarantee survival. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? She turned toward him. The galaxy is changing. New powers are rising. Ancient empires are beginning to fracture. Daniel listened carefully. The Varelian Empire needs something new. And that is... She met his gaze again. Humanity. 10. A personal choice. Daniel leaned against a pillar. Your Majesty, you already have humanity's alliance. That is not what I mean. Then what do you mean? The Queen took a step closer. You are the bridge between our peoples. Daniel blinked. I'm just a commander. You are more than that. She looked at him carefully. You understand us. And you understand humans, she added. Daniel shrugged. I try. That is exactly why you cannot leave. He shook his head slowly. You're asking me to stay on Avarice indefinitely? Yes. And do what? Her answer was simple. Stand beside me. 11. The truth behind her words. Daniel stared at her. Your Majesty, are you asking me to become some kind of permanent ambassador? The Queen tilted her head. Something like that. That's not exactly a small career move. No. She smiled faintly. It is not. Daniel paced slowly across the chamber. Earth is expecting me back. Earth will understand. You seem very confident about that. She looked thoughtful. Perhaps because I know humans value opportunity. He stopped walking. What kind of opportunity are we talking about? The Queen's voice became softer. A future where humanity and the Varelians grow stronger together. And you think that future requires me? Yes. 12. The choice. Daniel stood quietly for several long seconds. He thought about Earth, his family, his home. But he also thought about everything he had experienced here. The friendships he had built, the trust he had earned, and the strange connection he had formed with the Queen herself. Finally, he asked the question that had been on his mind since the announcement. Is this really about diplomacy? Queen Lyrasha looked directly at him. Not entirely. What else is it about? She stepped closer. So far, Commander Hayes, you have represented humanity. He nodded slowly. Yes. But if you stay, her voice softened, you will represent something even greater. And what's that? The Queen smiled gently. The future. 13. A new beginning. Outside the palace, Daniel's shuttle continued waiting in the docking bay. But inside the throne chamber, history was being rewritten. Daniel finally spoke. You know Earth is going to ask a lot of questions. The Queen nodded. Then we will give them answers. He looked out at the glowing city of Avaris. Well, I guess my mission really isn't over.
No, she said.
It has only just begun. 14. The Galaxy Watches. In the weeks that followed, news spread across the stars. The human commander who had come to Avaris for a diplomatic mission had chosen to remain beside the alien queen. Some called it politics. Others called it destiny. But one thing became clear. Humanity and the Varelian Empire were now closer than ever before. And at the center of it all stood two individuals from completely different worlds. A human commander and an alien queen who refused to let him leave. Because sometimes the end of a mission is just the beginning of something far greater.